Hi, this is Mr. Nazarian. Our learning objective today: I can convert different sized measurements within the same measurement system to solve real-world problems. 5th grade standard, measurement data, A1. Maddie is putting in a new gate for her fence. Her old gate measured 2,500 millimeters long and 4,750 millimeters wide. She's replacing the same space with a new gate. The new gates are all measured by meters. She wants to order a new gate that will fit the old space. How many meters long and wide should the new gate be? All right, so what we want to do here, so first, of course, we look at the question. How many meters long and wide should the new gate be? So we want the measurement in meters units, but the current space is measured in millimeters. So we want to change 25 millimeters into meters, and we want to change 4,750 millimeters into meters. We want to convert those measurements. So, review from yesterday, where we were taking a larger unit like meters and converting them to millimeters. Now what we want to do is the opposite. We want to convert millimeters into meters. So, to review from yesterday, if we knew what the meters were, which is a larger measurement, and we wanted to change them to a smaller unit, such as decimeters, centimeters, and millimeters, remember that there are 10 decimeters in a meter, hence deci, which is Latin for tenth. There are 100 centimeters in a meter, which centa means hundredth, and there are 1,000 millimeters, therefore milla is Latin for thousandths. And because this is tenths, hundredths, thousandths, that means every time that we move over one of these units, there's 10 of these in here because it's a tenth of the size, 10 times smaller. So therefore there's 10 of more of them to make the same amount of length. There's 10 centimeters in a decimeter and 10 millimeters in a centimeter. So each time we move over, we're multiplying it by 10. Well, the opposite is going to be true then for as we move from millimeters over to larger and larger areas. So instead of multiplying it by 10 as we move from millimeters to centimeters, we are going to, can you guess what we're going to do? Instead of multiplying by 10, we're going to do the opposite. So we're going to divide by 10. So if we had 1,000 millimeters to start off with, we would divide that by 10 because there's 10 millimeters in a centimeter, so that would give us 100 centimeters. Remember, there are 10 centimeters in a decimeter, so we're going to, can you guess what we're going to do to figure out how many decimeters would be at 100 centimeters? We're going to divide by 10 again. So it shows us 10 decimeters equals the same as 100 centimeters, which equals the same as 1,000 millimeters. And to find out meters, remember there's 10 decimeters in a meter, so we're going to divide by 10 again. So that shows us that there are, of the 10 decimeters, you divide that by 10, and you'll get 1 meter. So it's the same idea, but because multiplication and division are inverse operations, as we move to smaller units, we multiply. As we move from smaller to larger units, we're dividing to find the equivalent number. Something that I wanted to show you also that we can think of is this 1,000. Obviously, there's always, anytime we see a whole number, even if there's no fractions or no decimal places afterwards, we can always picture that there's a decimal point after the ones place to the right of the ones place, right? So as you can see, what's happening here, as you know, our base 10 system, every time we move one to the left, we're getting 10 times larger, and one to the right, we're getting 10 times smaller, right? So what happened here, the millimeters, when we want to change from millimeters to centimeters, we divided by 10, which means we move this, we move the decimal point over 1 to the left here, because we moved these digits one to the right. So there's 100. When I divide divided by 10 once, right? Whoops. There are 10 when we divided by 10 a second time, or also divided by 100, right? Divide by 10, divide by 10 again. And then to get to meters, we divided by 10 again. That gave us 1 meter. So we're just going to kind of think about that. That's going to kind of float over there, and we can think about that later. All right, so to solve this problem, remember we have given the information that it is 2,500 millimeters long, like tall, and it is a wide one. It's 4,750 meters wide. So we want to change it to meters. We want to get it way over here. So to move from this section here, millimeters, to how many centimeters, we're going to divide by 10, right? So if we divide 2,500, well, here. If we divide 2,500 by 10, what will we get? Oops. We would get 250, right? And we can check our thinking here by saying, well, if 2,500 divided by 10 equals 250, 250 times 10, yep, 2,500. Then to change that to decimeters, be 250 centimeters divided by 10. Sorry, this is so messy. And that's going to give us what? 25. And finally, to change the decimeters to meters, we're going to have 25 decimeters divided by 10. And what would that be for meters? That would be 2.5. And again, we can check our thinking here. 2.5 times 10 would be 25 is right. Again, if we look at this decimal point, right? We think 2,500 divided by 10, divided by 10 again, divided by 10 one more time. There you go. You've got 2.5. You can ignore these other zeros here. 2 and 5/10. So, of course, you're also remembering that there are 1,000 millimeters in a meter. So just like here, where we said, well, how many meters, and we multiplied it, we knew that there were 1,000, so we just, instead of doing times 10 times 10 times 10, which is 1,000, right? 10 times 10 times 10. We can just do 1, take a little jump there. 1 times 1,000 gives us 1,000, right? Well, we can do the inverse of that to go from millimeters to meters. We know that there's 1,000 millimeters in a meter, so we can just take this number and divide it by 1,000. So we just take the 4,750, we divide it by, let's see if I can cram this number in here, 1,000, and that will mean, I'll get this out of the way, we're going to move this over 3 places, right? 10, 100, 1,000. So that is a little bit faster way to figure out the answer here. We're going to have 4.75 meters. So our final answer here, remember the question is how many meters long and wide? It's going to be 2.5 meters long and 4.75 meters wide. That's our final answer. Okay, we'll work on more on that tomorrow. See you then.